Hello, everyone. We are from CANUS Immigration, and back with another useful video. A lot of you have asked me many times about the differences between full-time, part-time, and contractual jobs. What are the advantages and disadvantages? So in this video, we discussed exactly about that, mainly about the full-time job and the contractual job, because I know you have a little idea about the part-time jobs. So we'll discuss what are the pros and the cons of the full-time jobs versus the contractual jobs. Also, we'll discuss some of the actual job requirements that are out there. You can go on to apply for those jobs if you are here in Canada. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Okay, if you're in countries like India or Pakistan, you won't really hear too much about the contractual jobs. As such, you'll generally hear about full-time jobs only. But if you're in countries like Canada, US, UK, you'd hear a lot of times about the contractual jobs, part-time jobs and full-time jobs as well. Many people work full-time. And then they also work part-time over the weekends or during the evenings. And many people also do that with the contractual jobs as well. Now, of course, both the full-time jobs and the part-time jobs have their advantages and disadvantages as well. So we'll discuss all of them in this video. Now, before we discuss that, let's quickly try to understand what's the difference between a full-time job and the contractual job. So if you are working with an organization as a full-time employee, it would mean that you would work with them for a long time, maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, maybe 10 to 15 years. And if you're working for the same company as a contractor, it means that you'd actually be working there for a few months. 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, depending on your contract, depending on the requirement, depending on the project. So now you know the difference. A full-time employee works with the organization for a long time, while the contractor actually works for a shorter period of time, depending on the requirement, depending on the project. So now let's discuss the advantages and the disadvantages of both of these different types of jobs, starting with the salary. Of course, when you go to a job, you expect good salary. And that is the advantage with the contractual job. If you're working as a contractor, you actually get paid much more than what a full-time employee would get paid. For example, when the offices were open, there was a colleague who used to sit right next to me, used to do the same work, but was earning around twice the amount that I was earning, and had 1 year less experience than what I had. Why so? Because he was a contractor. So he was getting twice the salary. Sometimes you would see that people are getting even more. People are getting $70 per hour, $100 per hour, for $150 per hour, depending on their contract. So if you're working as a contractor, let's say just for 6 months, you would see that the amount of money you take home would be equal to the amount of money the full-time employee takes home after working the complete year. Because there's this big difference in the salary, there's going to be some disadvantage, right? So talking about that in the next point, which is about the employment benefits. If you're working as a full-time employee for any organization, you will get various employment benefits like retirement savings, like health insurance. Some companies do offer their employees their shares as part of bonus or something else, and various other employment benefits as well. While if you're working as a contractor, you won't get any of those benefits. Now, please note that if you're working as a contractor, you might be working directly for that organization. Or you might be working for a third-party organization who was just outsourced due to this client. Now, whatever be the case, you won't get any of these employment benefits. Now, similar is the case with the paid leaves. If you've ever worked as a full-time employee, you would know that we generally get different types of leaves like vacation leaves, sick leaves. We also get some leaves that can be encased at the end of the financial year, but as a contractor, you won't get those leaves if you get sick. If you call your office that okay, I won't be able to come today, you won't get paid for that day. So just like the employment benefits, these paid leaves are also big advantages of working full-time. If you are a lady, if you get pregnant, you'd get maternity leave. And if you're a father, you can get paternity leave that will be paid. Right? Although a fraction of your complete salary would be paid, but still you'd get paid something. What if you're working as a contractor? you actually won't get paid anything because you've signed the contract with that organization that you'll be working for them for a particular period of time, and you've already been paid really well for that period of time. Okay, before we proceed any further, let's quickly check out some of the job opportunities, actual requirements that are out there. If you're living in Canada, you can actually go on to apply for those jobs. Now here, I want to thank T-Tech Jobs for reaching out to me so that I can spread the word across the CANUS family. So we've got two job opportunities here. Both of them are for the customer service representative. And the good thing is that both of the jobs are remote jobs. Let's just quickly go through the first job and check out the requirements. So if you're seeking the job, you should be in British Columbia, New Brunswick, Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia PA Quebec. As an eligibility requirement, you should be fluent in English if the education requirement is very low. It can be a high school graduate or equivalent. You should have 6 months or more of customer service experience and a quiet room. You would need a high-speed internet, and most likely a computer as well. I assume in this world of pandemic, we all have computers, headsets, mobile phones, and most of us would fulfill these basic requirements. The second job is for the bilingual customer service representative for Portuguese and English and for the same provinces as well. Now the good thing with these jobs is that you will get a base salary of up to 17.5, which is a few dollars above the minimum wage level and a permanent full-time position. If you want to apply for this job, you should have exceptional communication skills in Portuguese and English, excellent computer skills, and of course, the eligibility to work in Canada. Among other requirements that are mentioned here, I'll provide a link to both of these jobs in the description box below. If you're interested, you can definitely go on to apply for these jobs. And of course, you can work as a customer service representative with the comfort of your home. Okay, talking about the next important point, it is about the work experience. So if you're working in an organization, let's say it's an banking organization, and if you're working there as a full-time employee, you get a lot of knowledge of the banking domain. You also get an in-depth knowledge of the technology that is being used there. Of course, I'm giving the example of an IT job. And if you're working there, as a contractor in that job, you actually don't get to spend too much time in one domain. For example, if you're working in the banking domain, let's say your contract's for 6 months, the next contract might be there. For the healthcare domain, maybe you go to the aviation sector. Wherever you find these opportunities, you actually keep moving. So you don't get an in-depth knowledge of a particular domain. As such, if you keep shuffling your domains, and also if you keep shuffling your technology as well. But this can also be taken as an advantage because you get the exposure of different domains, you get to know about different technologies you have worked in it. But with a full-time job, if you're working for an organization, let's say for 5 years, you're working in the same domain, maybe you're working in the same technology, maybe your technology gets changed, but more or less, you'd be working in the same domain. So you'd be getting lesser exposure to the other domains that are out there. So of course, there are some advantages and disadvantages whether you are a full-time employee or a contractor. Okay, the next 2 points I'm going to talk about has got more to do with the human behavior and with the mindset. So if you're working as a full-time employee, most probably you would be sticking to an organization for a couple of years. And hence, you'd be making bonds with people more stronger than if you were actually working there as a contractor because you will be spending less time in a particular organization. Now, of course, is a general term. I've seen contractors working for an organization for 2 years, 3 years' time doing the same work. But generally, you get the contracts for 6 months, 8 months or 1 year, something like that. However, it is not less time to create that kind of a bond. But it is still easier if you're a full-time employee. If you have been working for the organization for a long time. Of course, you will make friends there as well. What if you're working as a contractor, you want to make more contacts, connections are everything and you get to make that as a contractor because let's say if you're working for an organization for 6 months, of course, you get to know people and you create contacts. Similarly, if you work for another company for 1 year, you create more contacts. And of course, these contacts, these connections are very helpful in your professional growth. as well not working more or less point, which has got to do about the mindset of people. Of course, when you are working as a full-time employee, you don't have to think too much about giving the interviews all the time. You don't have to think too much about switching your job in just a few months every time. But if you're working as a contractor, you might have to do that. Because as I suggested you earlier, you might be getting a contract for 6 months' time. However, you will be earning a good income in that time. But still, of course, you don't want to sit idle. You want to work for the next 6 months of the year as well. So once the 6 months is completed, you want to move to a new job. And of course, your job search will begin much before that. So before even you start settling in a job, if your contract is not long enough, you start searching for a new job. This is something which personally I don't like. I like that kind of stability in my mindset, that okay, if I'm working for an organization, I have that job stability. But of course, that's my personal opinion. And many people actually choose the option of contractors, just because of the reason that they can earn really good money in a short period of time. So let's say that you have been working for an organization with a contract of 1 year, now your contract is over. Of course, you have earned what a full-time employee would earn in 2 years' time. So you can start searching for your job, even if you don't get the job in next couple of months, even if you don't get any other contracts till you've earned a lot of money in the first year itself. So suddenly, you're not at loss. But for some people, stability is very important. They don't want to keep searching for jobs every now and then in every few months or every next year. If you're like that, you should go for a full-time job. But yes, if you're willing to hustle for more money for better opportunities, you can actually go for the contractual jobs. Alright, so those were some of the points that I wanted to discuss with you. To give you more clarity, there are advantages and disadvantages of both full-time and contractual jobs. I really hope that you chose the best option that suits you. So that's it for this video, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. If you haven't subscribed CANUS Immigration Official yet, please click the subscribe button. If you have any queries, please put it down in the comments section below. Thanks again for watching this video.